Elon Musk announces a Tesla $10,000 affordable tiny house. Elon's been known for radical ideas and essentially changing entire industries, is setting his next target right now, which is on housing. For years, Elon has revolutionized space travel through SpaceX and electric vehicles through Tesla, but now his time has come and he's focusing on solving a different problem: making sustainable, high-tech living affordable to everybody. And that is through the $10,000 tiny home. And if that comes to Toronto, this is going to be game-changing, and it's going to change the entire landscape of the Greater Toronto area for the real estate market. So stay tuned as I break this down for you. Good day, everybody. My name is Zen, and if you want to talk about your real estate goals, you can do so by booking a call with me using a link that's on the screen. It's right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. The link is also in the description below. Love him or hate him, Elon has proven to be one of the greatest thinkers and greatest entrepreneurs of our current lifetime. The proof is in the pudding in all his companies and how well they do, and basically how game-changing they all are. And now that he's turning his head to housing, maybe like after his Doge side quest, it could really disrupt the Greater Toronto area real estate market if these tiny homes become available in North America. Now, this all started with the idea that Elon was living in a tiny little home to be close to SpaceX that was sold to him by a company called BOXABL for $50,000. Yes, this is in US dollars, not Canadian, but it made headlines nonetheless. And the thought of being able to build a modular home for fast and cheap that's been prefabricated in a different site, because both the US and Canada have a housing affordability crisis, is going to be game-changing. Now, this $50,000 home comes fully equipped with everything you need to basically plug and play, which includes a full-size kitchen, toilet, showers, sinks, and etc., right? So like cabinets and everything all there. And all you really have to do is hook up utilities such as water and electricity, which I'll talk about later in this video. Over here, this is the current layout of the BOXABL Casita and what Elon was sleeping in. And I would say that because it is like a perfect box, like 19 by 19 feet, it's better than most of the layouts you could essentially buy in Toronto if you're looking at kind of like a small bachelor unit in the pre-construction space, because they're not able to provide that perfect box. So from a layout perspective, I approve. It's very efficient. Now, can Elon streamline this and make this for $10,000? I wouldn't bet against him, but it may be a little bit more expensive given his track record, Cybertruck, but it's still a huge move nonetheless if it's a little bit more expensive or even twice the price. So let's really break down the cost of it and how it's going to impact us. I've used this chart over here to break down what I would call building a tiny home or like a garden suite on land right now, and I've split it up between a lot prep and the actual house. Now, the lot prep is basically getting the land that the house goes on, getting it ready so that you can plug and play, and then the house in this chart is, the house. The left side are numbers from my buddy Andy from Suite Editions, where him and his client built a 500 square feet garden home in Hamilton, and it costed him $250,000 for about 550 square feet. So if I break that down as a metric that we're going to use to compare apples to apples, they built that home for $455 per square foot, right? Now we're going to plug in the BOXABL Casita on the same lot, again, for apples to apples. And you can see that the cost per foot goes down 26% to $336 per square foot. Now, you would imagine we could get this price per square foot down some more, but as you can see, the challenge is in getting the land ready and getting it for a cheaper price so that I can plug the utilities in easier. And that's the lot prep side that's challenging. That's one of the key factors that a lot of people tend to forget when they're building a home. There's a cost in getting the land ready. So your grand total in this build for the BOXABL Casita is about $121,000, which is significantly better than buying a bachelor's condo of this size. And on top of that, you're paying maintenance fee, and this whole thing's gonna cost you $500,000. Doesn't make sense, right? So if Elon does his magic and brings down the price to say $10,000, your price per foot goes down to $225 a square foot, reducing the price per foot by more than half, and it's going to cost you a grand total of $81,000, which is amazing, right? I'm all for it, and this will 100% increase the amount of dwellings that we have in the Greater Toronto area to allow people to have a roof over their head. But here is the problem. You need to own the land to be able to do the lot prep, right? What's the value of land going to be? It's going to increase. It's going to get higher. And this is where the problem lies in Canada, because generally Canadians live in 3 cities, despite how much land we have. We're the second largest landmass after, Russia. And everyone lives in Toronto, Vancouver, or Calgary. Sorry, other cities, not trying to spite you. And Toronto and Vancouver land is super expensive already right now, which means that this $10,000 tiny home will be great for homeowners that already own a freehold property that has land. See that? They're going to be able to add extra revenue via this tiny house to their portfolio. And maybe instead of renting it out, they could house their kids or older parents in the back, right? Like a garden suite. It'll also make the numbers work a lot better for investors because your cost to construct another dwelling goes lower and you can charge more rent for it, right? So your capex goes down. And it's going to increase the supply of rentals, just like all these purpose-built apartments that we saw a huge rush into by pension funds in the last few years. Do you know who this doesn't help? First-time home buyers who want to own. It's going to drive up the price of land because there's a higher and better use for this piece of land right now, where first-time home buyers may not be able to capitalize on that because of where they are in life, ultimately making the land more expensive. We've seen this all happen before. In Ontario, when they forced every city to legalize basements and the cities allowed for it, the bungalows, which were easy to convert into basement suites, got more expensive. When laneway homes became legal, properties with laneways became more expensive. Now that garden suites are allowed and you can plop one of these tiny homes onto it for very cheap, what do you think is going to happen to the price of land? It's going to go up. It's going to get more expensive. So while this can help the housing crisis and solve some of it, we need to understand which demographic of the people in the housing crisis that we're solving the problem for, which is what a lot of people call it misconstrue when they talk about housing affordability. So when we're trying to solve the housing crisis, we're talking about just getting a roof over everyone's head, whether that be through rentals or ownership, it doesn't matter. But the rentals are easier. You see what I mean? And that's the key difference. And this is how I think the game theory is going to play out when Elon puts his sights on the affordable housing industry. It's going to bring the price of that down, but not everyone can, capitalize on it. And when you mix this in with the lower interest rates, and the market showing us that there is a lack of entry-level freehold housing that can support this Tesla tiny home, do you know what's coming for prices for these type of homes that have a piece of land on it that's freehold? It's going to go up. Yeah. So for a deep dive on how the towns and the semis in the Greater Toronto area are doing right now and how they're getting into a very dangerous inventory level where there's not enough of them, which ultimately means that prices are going up, make sure you check out this video over here.